Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard products number 957. This is, I had it, well, didn't have it backwards necessarily. This would be the leading edge down here, and this would be the saddle portion that would sit over the floor that you're transitioning over. The bottom line is this is a ramp component, is what it is. This is a 6-inch sample piece of the 957. There is, the best way to illustrate what this is for is to direct you to the link to the product brochure that is below this video. That is a multi-page document that will allow us to review all of the ramp components that are available from National Guard. The 957 is really never used alone that I can think of, even though there'd be nothing to preclude you from using it alone, provided you were installing it in a, handicap compliant fashion, assuming that your installation was mandatorily required to adhere with established building code for ADA compliance. The 957 would generally work behind the R950, where this feature, that little bird's mouth preparation that you see right down here, is going to fit into the R950, come out 6 inches, and transition from this half-inch rise area here down to 0. Okay, and do so in such a way that would be handicap compliant. Okay. They don't give it exactly, but I'm going to contend that an overall height would be 3/4 inch with this 957 behind the R950. Okay. Now, as you look at that product brochure, you'll see the balance of all of the components. If you were to need to build an 18-inch ramp, or any size, really up to about 36-inch, you may or may not use this. If you have to cap over something, you'll certainly end up using this, would be my guess. Very typical application would be the R50 alone. You're going to go from 0 to 6-inch, half-inch total rise, which is compliant with the ANSI A117.1 requirement for code compliance, which states that your rise over run cannot exceed 1-inch rise for every 12 inches in run. And all of these ramp components that I'm looking at here are, of course, compliant with that. You can get to really any depth in basically 3-inch increments, except that you can't go less than 6-inch to begin with in that system. Although they do have a 4-inch wide 0 to half-inch ramp that is compliant because it does not exceed the 1-to-2 relationship of the it doesn't exceed the half-inch overall height requirement, and is compliant with the 1-to-2 relationship for a leading edge sort of bevel that would be there. Okay, now the material is available in 3 finishes. In the absence of a letter, you're going to get mill finish, which is what this is. That's a mill finish aluminum. You can get this in a DKB, a dark bronze anodized color. National Guard dark bronze is generally a bit darker than others. Some people have called me and say, "Hey, this is black." No, it's really dark. It's not quite black, but I do understand that statement because of how dark it is. They can also do it in the SIA finish, which you would do over a mill. SIA literally stands for Slick It Ain't. Slick It Ain't is a heavy, coarse texture that's applied over the material that all but eliminates the possibility of any sort of slippage. The point of an SIA could very likely be, and I personally have, there are smooth top thresholds and my foot has just slipped off of it, and while it didn't amount to anything, it did make me realize thresholds can be dangerous. If you are to slip on a wet, smooth top threshold, the Slick It Ain't could very likely come into great advantage if you're dealing with a longer ramp, a wider ramp, I should say, deeper, and you've got a wheelchair. Let's say it's 30-inch. You can get pretty much all of the wheelchair on that ramp, and you sure don't want to lose traction, and that slick it ain't procedure over the mill material would certainly permit you to do that, to accommodate that. The balance of the product brochure that's there is handy because it will show you all of those components, what they look like assembled together, but they'll also call your attention to the return closed ends for ramps, wings sometimes they're referred to. The advantage of the wing is that they're going to give you an incredibly elegant finished look to the outside edge. This is not a good example of it, but if you were to run this long and not have anything at the end of this threshold, it's all exposed underneath here. Well, imagine if you're out at 30-inch and now you're, I don't know, 2.5 inches tall. Well, yeah, that's a problem, having all of that exposed. Those closed return ends would permit you to close that off, and that is the upside of doing so. The downside is that they're costly. Aluminum as it's on its own is expensive, but the returned closed ends are hand labor. You can tell when you see them that they're made by hand. So that's the downside of those. They do drive the cost up significantly. I've sold ramps to people where they've bought the closed ends because that's what's in the spec, or they've said, no, we're going to pour concrete and then we're going to fit our ramp within this space is what's going to happen. So therefore no need for closed ends is the bottom line. You know, or maybe some other method of creating the material as well. I've never sold this material to someone including any sort of welded apparatus, welding all the parts. But that can be done as well. I could imagine TIG welding the material together once you get it in place, TIG welding it all for a very secure sort of installation. I would personally like to do that. The system of this material simply interlocks together and then mechanically fastened. Be nice to have a unified unit as well. Now, listed in the site in lots of different lengths. I think everything from 2 foot to 8 foot is in the site. It's very possible that you're going to need longer lengths, and that can be accommodated, probably up to about 16.5 feet is my guess. The problem with the longer lengths is the cost to ship. It gets noticeably more expensive to ship those longer pieces. And if you're ordering one piece, yes, it's an obstacle. If you need to come up with 10 openings at 14 foot long and you're doing 18-inch deep, the cost of shipping is not going to seem significant at all for this material. So keep that in mind. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can get to the full line product catalog, which will show you all things National Guard related, a comprehensive provider of weather stripping and other items. If you have more than an occasional need for weather stripping, check out their catalog. If you're looking for a single solution, check out their catalog. You might find something better than what you're currently looking for. You know, a way to better devise the problem that you're trying to accomplish. If you're in the construction industry, you're probably well familiar with National Guard. Then also all of the links that are there to the other National Guard products that we sell, and then of course a link to the manufacturer's website. If you have any questions on the National Guard products 957 ramp component or any other, I didn't really show you that dimension. It is 6-inch wide. Okay. Back over here, it's going to allow you to accomplish a 1/2-inch height. You're not going to see that 1/2 inch on the tape measure because this will nest into its leading edge, the R50. Any questions on the 957 or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.